Welcome back. You're watching Global Lens on News9 Live with me, Neha Khanna. We're discussing the Israel-Hamas war on a day when Israel has suffered a huge setback, losing 24 of its soldiers in just the last 24 hours. Let me go across to Major General Ashwini Sivaj at this point. General Sivaj, the reality is that the complete victory over Hamas that Benjamin Netanyahu has been talking about from the beginning of this war still seems to be light years away. You have a situation where, there's growing anger amongst Israelis over the fact that the Netanyahu government, even 4 months into this war, has failed to bring back the remaining roughly 130 hostages who still remain in captivity in Gaza. On top of that, as you know very well, that the international community's mood has changed drastically. There's a lot of anger and outrage around the world, not just in the Arab world, but now in amongst Israel's Western allies too, given the growing death toll in Gaza. And on top of all of this, you have a situation where Israel has just suffered its worst or biggest single day loss of life. 24 soldiers in 24 hours. This, even as Israel has failed to kill or capture even one major Hamas leader. So questions are going to be asked about whether Israel has got its war strategy right. What is your take?
Absolutely correct, Neha. As far as Israel is concerned, they had two main war objectives. One is completely destroy the military capability of Hamas, and second A was to release all the hostages back. But if you see the war, the way it has panned out in more than 3 months, Israel has not able to succeed in either of that. As far as the military capability of Hamas is concerned, there are 30,000 strong Hamas leader and cadre, and they could only able to destroy not more than 20 to 30% of the military capability of Hamas. And as far as the leader is concerned, very rightly brought out, they have not able to kill any major leader, including Yahya Sinwar, where the report is there that he was there in Gaza city and then he moved to Khan Yunis also. So the question is, yes, as far as Israel is concerned, their military objective, they are not able to succeed at all. In fact, what is happening is, now when they are attacking to northern, southern and the central Gaza, the casualties are mounting of the Palestinian civilians, and they are more than 25,000. This is putting tremendous pressure on Israel, including the best ally called US. Now the point is coming, the casualties increased so much that the advantage which they got it in the beginning, that after all this was a crime which was committed by Hamas of 7th October. Now the advantage is on the Palestine, and the whole world is raising a finger as far as Israel is concerned, the number of casualties which are taking place, and as far as military objective of almost eliminating the military capability of Hamas does not seem to be practical. It looks like that the war can continue for years together. They will not able to finish the military capability of Hamas. As far as the second objective which was there, that there were about 240 hostages. Out of that, they will only manage to get about 120, 130. There are over 100 hostages still with Hamas. And Hamas is not a very simple enemy, is going to manipulate this in time to come. So the question is, the Israel had not succeeded in getting its military objective. On top of that, what has happened in the Red Sea has created a further confusion. The Houthi rebels have come into it from Yemen. They are now targeting the commercial ship in Red Sea, and the US and UK have responded, and the chances of this war becoming a regional war is becoming very high when Hezbollah are basically targeting from Lebanon, and Houthi rebels from the Yemen are targeting all the commercial ships from Yemen area to the basically a Red Sea. Now the whole situation seemingly so complicated. The pressure is now mounting. One is international pressure because the Palestine casualties are increasing and Israel is nowhere to achieve its military objective. Also its own domestic pressure. The people are saying that Benjamin Netanyahu government has completely failed to get the hostages back as well as able to achieve the military success. I suppose today Benjamin Netanyahu is the weakest both internationally and domestically, and the way the things are fanning out, to me it looks like that it is a very difficult situation for Israeli forces now to proceed in Gaza Patti, because the point is that they are not able to kill any major leader of Hamas, and that is making a tremendous impact. Now, how things will fan out from here, time can only tell, but it looks like that it's a total disadvantage to Israel, and Israel is cornered. Israel is now making mistake after mistake, and I suppose the way the Houthi rebels have become very aggressive in Red Sea has complicated the situation completely. Now the pressure is on Israel from the international community as well as from a domestic. The war must
Absolutely.
finish. And how does it finish? It time will only tell. And
Yes.
Hamas is a very clever enemy because it is sponsored and aided by Iran. Iran is playing its card very close to the chest with its
Yes.
proxies of Hezbollah, Houthis, and Hamas. And therefore, it looks like that today Israel seemingly looks to be isolated in the whole world. Neha.
You're quite right. Israel is isolated today, and therefore, let me take this back to Dr. Ariel Chore. Dr. Chore, 4 months is a very long time, especially when a devastating war such as this is raging on and people are dying every day. Would you want to respond to what the Major General has just said, that Israel is today isolated? There's growing pressure on Israel from the international community. There is anger because more than 25,000 Palestinians, we are told, have been killed in this war. The general says that Israel seems to be losing its way. It seems to have its back to the wall. It's making mistake after mistake. It seems to be at a distinct disadvantage. Its stated objective, one of the stated objectives, was to achieve complete victory over Hamas. That's still a long way off. You've not managed to do that. You've not managed to kill or capture a single major Hamas leader. You've not managed to bring back more than 100 of your hostages. There is growing anger amongst the Israelis, who have protested against the Netanyahu government. And now you have a situation where 24 Israeli soldiers have been killed in a single day. So the narrative that's now building is that Israel has got its war strategy horribly wrong. It's making terrible mistakes. It is the ordinary people in Gaza and the soldiers who are now paying for the mistakes that are being committed by, let's say, the political forces in Israel. I will in fact go as far as to say that there are those who say that Netanyahu is practicing a very cynical brand of politics, that he actually has a vested interest in prolonging this war for his own political survival.
I must say it's really interesting to see how things are sometimes being perceived from other places. But I must tell you, Nia, I totally disagree with all the assumptions that you made here, and I can correct them one by one. First of all, we're not isolated at all. I will just send you both to see the decision of the European Parliament just last weekend, saying that the EU will not ask Israel to cease fire until Hamas will release the hostages and Hamas will be dismantled. That's a victory. That's not the hard situation that you're describing. I can tell you that we're getting from the Arab world under the table, obviously for obvious reasons, demands or questions saying, are you not about to finish with those Hamas? If it was us, we would finish with them before. I don't also agree for the mistakes, the so-called mistakes that you're attributing to us. Let me remind you, we killed many of our enemies during these 3 months. It's not 4 months, it's just a little bit above 3 months, including Salah el-Aruri, number 2 in Hamas and probably the most sophisticated terror mind in Hamas, in Lebanon. We killed him. And in Gaza, eventually we will kill the rest of them, Def and Sinwar and Isa. No worries, we are above the ground. It's all a question of how long we're going to stay and proceed this operation. But I can tell you, no country in the world, no army in the world did the same kind of warfare with tunnels, with all the technological measures and special units that we're using very successfully if we check it, on a tactical basis. However, I do agree we did not reach yet this strategic point, or I would say milestone, that will allow us to really to leverage it to the goals that we are waiting for. However, we need to understand the way things are built with Hamas, that power is so concentrated now in the Gaza leadership is something that can be changed overnight. What do I mean? I mean that, Hamas is a very networked organization. You have many centers. However, since the war, it was centralized into the decision makers of Gaza. Israel, if this night, for example, will capture Def or Sinwar or kill them, it may change the whole picture and the way you perceived it. Let me remind our viewers again, those 25,000, as you rightfully emphasized again and again, according to Hamas-led health ministry, include also 9,000 terrorists that Israel killed. Okay, 9,000. You need to understand they are all fighting in civilian clothes. And eventually, and you already see a lot of voices. I wish I could send you at least one that I saw today asking Hamas, demanding Hamas to surrender, demanding Hamas to stop the war.